if you guys have seen my last video about the top 5 most underrated duos of this format, then Zark and Pendulum Magician go hand in hand like, well, I'll leave that exactly for that video. And if you guys want to see that video, boop, right there. Today I'm going to be bringing you a competitive Zark Magician deck profile that doesn't play any hand traps. And I'm like, you guys are like, competitive? No hand traps? I already got your interest. I guess you guys could say that the pendulum is swinging into the favor of watching this video. Get it? Get it? I'm TheCaliEffect, and if you guys want to see more videos like this, then go ahead and destroy that subscribe button. But more importantly, if you ever want a pendulum summon 4-5 in your life, then you will destroy that notification bell. It's not a threat, it's a promise. Without further ado, I present to you a competitive Zark Magician deck profile. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be starting off with the monsters in this deck. I know I said no hand traps in the deck, but I kinda lied because Astrograph Sorcerer has already been dubbed as probably one of the best hand traps in the game. And if you guys want to see a video about that, I know I'm a video whore, just watch the video. This card has so many applications, and the reason why I consider it an honorary hand trap because it doesn't prevent the opponent from playing Yu-Gi-Oh, but it's when your opponent tries to prevent you from playing Yu-Gi-Oh, you can special summon this card and then search another copy of whatever card was destroyed that turn. It's a really good card. Also coupled with the fact that it is our main way to summon Zark, and it's 2500 body, it's an instant 3 of in this particular build. 3 copies of Black Fang Magician. Now this card is absolutely nuts. Not only can it half the attack of an opponent's monster, but upon its destruction, it can special summon a magician monster from your graveyard to your side of the field. It's also our strongest magician monster in the deck at 1700 attack. Next is 3 copies of Double Iris Magician. This card is insanely nuts, but you're probably going to be only able to use this effect maybe once or twice. So it can destroy itself, and if you do, you target a monster you control, it can now inflict double the damage that it once could before. But more importantly, when it's destroyed, you can add 1 Pendulum Graph spell or trap card from your deck to your hand. Those Pendulum Graph cards are pretty saucy, so you want to watch out for those. Lastly is 3 copies of Purple Poison Magician. When she destroys herself, she targets a monster and it gives it 1200 attack. But more importantly, when she's destroyed, you get to destroy a face-up card on your opponent's side of the field. These cards are freaking nutty and are the main components of the Pendulum Magician deck. Being able to destroy themselves to gain additional effects, but more importantly have some damage application, whether it's attack reduction. Whether it's increasing your monster's attack, doubling attack, or decreasing your opponent's monster's attacks, these cards are too strong. Let's just get the bicep in there. Next is going to be 3 copies of Harmonizing Magician. This card is nasty good. Now, we play 3 mainly because we want to see it. I mean, yes, we can search it, but we want to see it. It allows us to special summon a Pendulum Magician monster from our deck to our side of the field. But if that monster leaves the field, it's banished. Now, we have ways around that. If we use it for an Exceed summon and detach the monster, it goes straight to the graveyard instead of being banished, but it's a tuner. You're going to want to get some synchro plays with it. 3 copies of Wisdom Eye Magician. Now this card is going to be able to search any of your Pendulum Magician monsters right into the pendulum scale by destroying itself. It also falls in line with the destruction theme we have going on. Next is 2 copies of White Wing Magician. Now, a lot of competitive builds only play 1 copy, but we play 2 because it's our only access to a Synchro Dragon monster, enabling us to summon Zark, and it's not a bad card. Unfortunately, its effects are lackluster compared to its brothers and sisters. When it's pendulum summoned and used for Synchro material, it's banished instead, but still, you can also Exceed summon with this card. You can normal summon and Synchro summon it when it goes back to your extra deck. It's still a pretty good card. Next is 2 copies of Oath Dragon Magician. Now, I like to call it Oath because I don't know. I'm just weird like that. This card allows you to recurse Pendulum Magician monsters from your extra deck or your graveyard, but more importantly, it's a low scale that can get monsters from the extra deck to your hand. If you guys didn't know about Master Rule 4, you can only special summon monsters from your extra deck up to the number of linked monsters or link monsters you have with arrows pointing to your side of the field in your main monster zone, or at the very most 1 monster in your extra monster zone. So Oath Dragon Magician allows us to tutor those monsters from our extra deck back into our hand because we can pendulum summon as many monsters as we want from our hand to our side of the field. Now this card, you guys are probably going to be raising eyebrows when you see it, but I'm telling you, the scales are tipping in this card's favor. 2 copies of Performer Pal Pendulum Sorcerer. Now when this card is special summoned, you can destroy cards on your side of the field and then add Performer Pal monsters from your deck to your hand. So you guys are like, there's no Performer Pal monsters. What are you doing? Just keep in mind we run one important Performer Pal monster, and that's the reason why we play it. And that card is 3 copies of Performer Pal Skullcrab Joker. Now, yes, you guys are correct. I won't be getting full advantage of Performer Pal Pendulum Sorcerer because I won't be able to destroy 2 cards. I'll be forced to destroy 1. But the 1 card could be a Black Fang Magician to special summon from my extra deck, or from my graveyard. It could be Double Iris to search that Pendulum card. It could be Purple Poison to destroy a card. And I get to add Purple Poison from, or Performer Pal Skullcrab Joker, which is a Stratos to the deck, from my deck to my hand. So, you know, that 1 destruction kind of pays for itself. Lastly is 3 of the card, and the reason why you don't need to run hand traps as well as go first, or why you can go first. 3 copies of Apex Avion. Now this card is nasty. Around building this deck, which is inspired by Jesse Roberts' undefeated ARG deck, he's our sponsored player. This card is nasty good. So what you do is you pendulum summon this card, and then you start going off with your opponent, your combos. If your opponent has a hand trap, you activate your Mist Valley Apex Avion, returning this card to your hand, and then you continue what you're doing because hand traps are only once per turn. This card's 2700 body is nothing new to the Pendulum Magician strategy. It's just something that was long forgotten and is a complete, utter, just duh. It can destroy your opponent, literally. Even if you're not using it to stop your opponent's hand traps, you can use it to negate spells, traps, and monsters effects by returning it to your hand. And then you can pendulum summon it back to your side of the field. I'm telling you, he's Mr. Nasty. Now, that is it with monsters. With 30 monsters, I know that is a ton of monsters and no hand traps into it. So basically almost every single one of your monsters are live, and that's the reason why we didn't play hand traps into this build. Pendulum Magician is very reliant on every single card in your hand mattering, and hand traps will set you back because they don't really matter for your strategy. Next is 3 copies of Duelist Alliance. Now, I'm not too keen on playing 3, but its effects are really good. Being able to search a Pendulum monster from your deck to your hand, or Pendulum card from your deck to your hand. That includes Pendulum Graph. Also, keep in mind, Double Iris Magician is a Pendulum card always, so it is searchable from your deck to your hand through Duelist Alliance. 2 copies of Star Pendulum Graph. While this card's on the field, your opponent can't target your Magician Pendulum monsters with spell effects. Also, if one of your Magician Pendulum monsters in your monster zone or your spell and trap card zone is destroyed, you can search another Magician Pendulum monster from your deck to your hand. So essentially, it's going to allow you to steamroll your opponent by using your card effects. Next is 2 copies of Pot of Desires, and let's kill this argument of is Desires bad. Desires is a godly card, especially if you play 3 of everything. Banishing 2 copies of almost every single, or actually any single card in this deck doesn't mean anything. Drawing 2 additional cards to get you into whatever cards you need, that's everything in this deck. I guess you can say I desires to set up some scales. Nah, alright, well, we'll just keep going. 1 copy of Pendulum Call. This card was often thought of as a bad card, mainly because it's an easy Ash target. It requires you to discard a card, but even more important, your scales can't destroy themselves, fully gaining their effects. Well, here is a newsflash. Sometimes you just top deck this card and have a card to discard. You can set up scales and play Yu-Gi-Oh! You kind of need that. The next thing is that you can still activate your monster's effects. Hypothetically, if Purple Poison is in your Pendulum scale, you can activate its effect to give your monster 1200 attack. It just won't be destroyed because Pendulum Call says so, which could be a good thing at the end of the day. And then last is easily one of the best cards in the deck, if not the best card of the deck, 2 copies of Time Pendulum Graph. Now what this card does is that you can target a Magician card you control and opponent's card you control, destroy them both. If so happen your Magician card wasn't destroyed, you can send a card from the field to the graveyard. Sauce, man. This deck is nothing but sauce. That's it for the main board at 40 cards. For the extra deck, 1 copy of Supreme King Z-Arc. Now, summoning this card normally means game. You're probably just going to win it. Upon his summon, he destroys all your opponent's cards. It's unaffected by spells, unaffected by traps, unaffected by monster effects, unaffected by much. Can't be targeted. 4000 attack. he's gonna win you the game, and that's why we play one copy of him with enough resources to summon him. Also, when he's destroyed, he goes into the scale, or you can just put him to the extra deck for other cards. One copy of Supreme King Starving Venom, the card that can be fusion summoned without polymerization, copies the opponent's monster's effects, 2900 body. I don't understand why any of the Supreme King cards, or why all of them aren't at least super rare. These cards are nasty good. 2 Psy-Frame Lord Omegas. This card is nasty good in this deck because you summon your monsters, you synchro summon from Omega in your extra monster zone, you activate Omega's effect, banish a card from your opponent's hand, get some knowledge, you know, do what you gotta do, and then you continue going right into your deck because it's Omega. And he comes back into your main monster zone on your next turn. One copy of Supreme King Clear Wing Dragon. Or Supreme King Dragon Clear Wing. I keep thinking of calling it Clear Wing Dragon. This monster's a nutty monster. Like if Peanuts met a monster with walnuts and every other nut in the category of nuts, with these nuts, this card is it. This card's a game ender. I don't know why anybody's not playing it. 2500 attack. Its effects, nasty. Its abilities, nasty. Its stats, nasty. Why isn't this card a super rare or above? I have no idea. One copy of Bills, really good against True Draco, also really good against the opponent's card effects I like to destroy, and it gets attacks it gains attack if your opponent inflicts damage. Excuse me. Next is one copy of Ignister. This card's really good at destroying your cards in your skeleton, returning opponent's cards. More importantly, it does not target. That's it for the synchros. 2 copies of Time Star to start off with the X-Seeds. Let me move them right here. 2 copies of Time Star to start off with the X-Seeds. This card is naughty good. It searches all of the cards that you need from your deck to your hand, but even more importantly, to prevent the destruction, you can send one of those cards, which will fuel your Zark plays from your deck to your graveyard. 1 copy of Performage Trapeze Magician. Okay, so hypothetically, let me give you a scenario. You activate Double Iris, targeting a monster. It doesn't matter. You activate your Purple Poison. Now you're Purple Poison. You activate your Black Fang, targeting your opponent's monster. Now you make Trapeze Magician. You are going to inflict a lot of damage. This deck is really good at taking a chunk of damage out of your opponent, if not gain, and Trapeze Magician only fuels that. 1 copy of Supreme King Dragon Dark Rebellion. Just another one of those Supreme King cards that should have been super. Being able to reduce an opponent's monster attack to 0 and then special summon Supreme King monsters from your extra deck. So if your Zark just so happens to eat the extra deck, actually I think it can only be fusion summoned. Must be fusion summoned. Okay, alright, good. So you guys didn't goofed, because that would have been too nasty. Good job, Kamani. So ignore the second effect because we don't have any targets for it. But 1 copy of Baguska. This card plus Decode is nasty good, being able to negate your opponent's card effects. 1 copy of Bornado Bragging, just bicking back, being boo, styling and profiling. Where's this card's arms? Like, it's... I don't understand. I understand that it has a face and everything, but it's supposed to be a dragon. Where's your little stubby arms and your huge legs? I don't understand. But it's able to destroy spells and trap cards, which is pretty good. 1 copy of Proxy Dragon and Decode, just the standard cards that you make for your link plays, so you can start special summoning like hell out of your extra deck. That's it for the extra deck at 15. So many awesome cards in there. Now for the side deck. In the side deck, we actually play hand traps. I only play 4 because, I mean, if I flooded the deck with hand traps, then it'd be the same concept as ruining your consistency. So 3 copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. I side these when I know I'm going second. It allows me to stop the opponent, and then on my turn I get to go off. And then Max C. I have an entire video on this card about Max C being subpar. And if this video gets enough likes, let's try to aim for 150, guys, because you love me. I will release that video about my argument about Max C not being a great card and actually not even really being needed inside of the main board. But nonetheless, if you do resolve Max C and draw at least 3 cards, you're in there. 2 copies of Chaos Hunter. This card's really good against decks that like to vanish. Infernoid, any deck that runs Fairy Tail, Snow, Trickstar. I'll even Pendulum summon this card. Okay. Next is 3 copies of Wavering Eyes. Really good against the mirror match. If you were allowed to destroy 4 Pendulum Scales, you're probably going to win the game outright. Next is 3 copies of Cosmic Cyclone for whoever plays Anti-Spell Fragrance still. Fuck you guys. And basically those problematic pesky back row cards and anti-meta rogue decks. Lastly, we're going to wrap it up with 3 copies of Evenly Matched. Being able to banish the opponent's cards so we can start off with our own scales and our own combos and strategies is really good. Thank you guys so much for watching another segment of the TheCaliEffect. I hope you guys enjoyed this competitive Zark deck profile. If you guys want to see, I know I'm working on that DDD deck. I wanted to make it as competitive as possible, so you'll get it. So calm down, guys. Just like this video up. Let your boy know that you like him, and he will give you not only that DDD deck profile, but that Buster Blader combo I was thinking about. Thank you guys again for watching. If you guys want to support the #1 channel on YouTube, check out my Patreon. I have some awesome rewards for you guys. Please like, comment, subscribe, but most of all, enjoy.